taking pictures on how can you connect to the television here?
Yeah.
Your brothers too.
Yeah.
Tell me about their food. What did you do? Did you do something to it?
I stuffed it.
Oh,
It's okay.
oh, right, you go ahead, cut it. I don't know, but you more than already the food. Now, should I talk?
Yeah.
Tell you the way I came to this country,
Or
but I lived before.
where you lived before?
In Europe.
Where were you born? What?
I was born in Russia,
Uh-huh.
in a little town, like a little village.
Uh-huh.
And when I got older, I didn't like to live in a little town. I wanted a big town.
Uh-huh.
I was the third one of the family. I had an older sister, an older brother, and then a sister, and I was the third one.
What were your...
And I said, I'm not going to stay in Common. Common was the little town.
Common was the name of the town?
I was 11 years old.
Uh-huh.
When I went to learn a trade, I should be able to go to a big city.
What trade?
Dressmaking.
To make dresses?
My mother didn't want me to go. I was too young.
Uh-huh.
The dressmaker, they wouldn't take me without my mother.
Without her permission?
To okay. Then I kept on after my mother every day.
Uh-huh.
She should take me down to a dressmaker. I want to learn a trade and I want to go to a big city.
Uh-huh.
My mother came from a big city.
What city was she from?
Polotsk was
From
a Russian town.
Polotska?
Yeah, Polotsk was
What?
the name.
What was her name?
My mother's name?
Yeah.
Shifra.
Shifra? And your father's name?
Sholem.
Shalom?
That named the baby after my father's Jewish name.
Huh.
I'm
And-
very proud of it.
And your grandparents?
My
Wh-
grandparents, my father was born, my grandfather was maybe born in that little town.
In that little town also?
It was maybe a population of 100 people or so.
That's all?
That's all. Maybe 150 to higher.
Not
It
very...
was just a couple streets, but we had a very big home,
Uh-huh.
on the side of a hill. And my father was well off, and I had a beautiful home and everything, but I did not like to be in a little town. I
Uh-huh.
knew there is something better than being in a little city like that, not a city, a village.
And you knew you wanted to
Yeah,
to move?
Then finally, my mother okayed,
Uh-huh.
and I went to learn this trade.
So where did you...
I got older, more I wanted to go away.
Where
A lot
did...
of people was moving away because of kind of that. Special boys didn't stay in town.
Didn't stay in the little town?
No, they went because there were no trades. So,
What did people do in the town?
well, my father had a big shop, a blacksmith shop.
A blacksmith?
And then he used to sell things and buy things and go to the big cities to take a look. We were well off. We had a big, beautiful home
Uh-huh.
and beautiful clothes and everything.
What was the big city near the village?
Huh?
What was the big city near the
That
village?
was the biggest city 70 miles away.
Uh-huh.
Then we used to go there. We had family there. Now, also wagon, go just my sister made a new coat she didn't trust in the tailors over there. She wanted to go.
She wanted the big
Yeah,
city
yeah.
tailors?
Everybody talked about that. We have everything. And everybody was so surprised that I went. When I was already 16, my mother sent me to my grandmother from where my mother was born.
What?
I had a grandmother, her mother. She came from a big city.
What city was that? Do you remember?
Huh?
Do you remember that city? What was the...
Polotsk.
Polotsk. And
Yeah. Then my mother didn't want me to go away to
Uh-huh.
America. My mother had her 3 sisters in New York.
They came over first?
There, yeah, sure. I had a big family in New York, and my mother had 3 sisters, and they were very good to me when I came here. They wanted me to be happy.
So,
Anyway, then my mother said, all right, go, go to my grandmother, to grandmother. And maybe you like it there. I came there, I was about 4, 6 weeks there. I came back home. I
yeah.
didn't like it. I want still a bigger city.
It wasn't big
I
enough?
knew about big that desk from where my names came.
Uh-huh.
Then Zippe.
Tante Zippe? Odessa.
That's a big city. She got married there.
Uh-huh.
Because my grandmother had a sister there,
Uh-huh.
lived there. Then she went there when my grandfather died. My grandmother was, I was named after my grandfather. She was left with 6 children.
She had 6?
A boy of 14, 13 years old, and 5 girls. There were 5 sisters.
Uh-huh.
Anyhow, everybody was looking at the goal to make a better life for themselves. My parents didn't want me to live. My father special. My mother thought, well, I'll go for a year and I'll come back. And this is what I went here. Just for a year. If I wouldn't like it, just I'll go for a visit.
To New York?
I came up first class as a visitor.
How did you get there from your town?
Huh?
From your town, how did you get there?
I went with the horse and wagon
Uh-huh.
to Polotsk. Polotsk is where I said.
Right.
It's about 100 miles.
Uh-huh.
Then from Polotsk, I stayed with my grandmother for a while.
Uh-huh.
And then it took the train to a city with Bobby that called the German city, where you take the boat.
Was that the first time you rode a train?
Huh?
Was that the first time you rode on a train?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Then everybody in town thought that, how can she live such a home want to go back?
Huh.
But I always had big ideas. I want to have if I know how to make a living, if I know a trade,
Uh-huh.
then I'll be able to go any place. Or I'll go to a desk,
Uh-huh.
or then I'll go to America. I want to go to America.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother's sister felt that I wouldn't like it. I'm used to a big, beautiful home. Then we knew my father, everybody knew that they were well off. Then I was so disappointed when I came here.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was already 19 years.
Well, you took the...
I came in 1914.
From Germany, you took the boat to...
There I take Yalibaba in Polotsk. I took a train, go to a Russian big city.
Uh-huh.
And there I had to wait there 10 days. See, when you go by first class,
Mm-hmm.
they don't take you just any place. You have to wait when you have your own room. It was so nice, beautiful. I would never make it if I wouldn't go with first class. I was very sick.
The boat?
In about 3 days I was right, and the rest of it I was laying. If I wouldn't be in the first class, I would be dead.
You were seasick?
I couldn't, they didn't agree with me, the boat.
The movement?
I was very dizzy and I had to stay in bed. I couldn't get up. The first 3 days it was the food, the waiters invite jackets and
Uh-huh.
set up with tablecloths with the best food they give you. And it's that all very fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was okay, and then I couldn't pick my head up. The doctor used to come in every morning. A nurse used to come in. And everybody said, if you die on the boat, they don't kick you, they throw you in the river. Oh, and I used to cry. I didn't care for myself because I was so sick. But how am I my mother, my father, was such a devoted father. Oh, he for his children, he thought that nobody is as good as his girls. Then I was very sick. When I came into New York, I didn't have to go to Castle Garden, the college, for passenger. I came in.
That was immigration?
As a pencil lady. And I didn't know, my aunts didn't know me as a grown up. All along, I was just a kid with their left.
Uh-huh.
Then I knew that they're coming to take me out from the boat. Then they announced the name, called my name and her name, and that I should come to this, and then we met.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's really a long story. I came here, I was very disappointed.
They
My
weren't
hands were poor.
they weren't doing very well?
Huh?
They weren't doing very well in New York?
No, that my name simply had 4 children, that cousin Fritz.
Right, yeah.
4 the children. They lived in a basement uptown. I remember that basement. And here I told that America, everything is beautiful. I come from such a beautiful living room with very fancy furniture and everything. I come in a basement. She had a sort of food she couldn't clean. Oh, baby, when I saw that, I told the American that they're supposed to be.
You thought everybody was...
Every one of them were poor.
Oh.
Years ago. What did they make? $10, $12 a week.
What did they do?
He was a tailor. And then my 2 other one lived downtown, Scammell Street in New York, that's the poorest section. Poor. The other end was a sickly woman. I had poor. He was a tailor, worked for the tailor. Well, I was very disappointed, and I wanted to go back home. I said, I promised them that I wouldn't stay. Let me go, George. I want to see America.
Right.
I couldn't go back. The war broke out, the First World War.
World War One?
They closed up. They didn't let in. There were 5 girls going to America. We were supposed to go the same time. I couldn't live till they notified me that I have a room. My mother had a brother. He was visiting us. And he was like God to everybody. He was very intelligent, very nice fellow, nice man. And he was in us for a visit. He lived in a big city in a Russian town. Then he said, I get a telegram that not to leave till they're notified because they haven't got a room. Then I was all packed. My father said, you're not going, well, that's all. I'm not giving you money, you're not going in America. Then this uncle, some Chaim, said, Daddy's name after him. He died very young, he was only 33 years old. When he said to my father, was again, live or go, she'll come back. If the Chaim said live or go, it's God. He was God to everybody. And then what had happened, then he sent away a telegram that I'm packed and I'm leaving and they should have a room for me. And we got back a telegram, okay, I could come. Because the other way, they put him on the floors, I even couldn't go downstairs. They weren't the regular immigrants. But I was in a private room, with noises, with everything. That I even couldn't go down to see all the other people travel. And that's the beginning. And I came here and the war broke out and I couldn't go back. And I didn't hear from them and they didn't know what happened to me, my family.
How long was that you didn't hear from
A
them?
long time. By that time I came to Detroit. I came to New York. I was 2 years in New York. I came to Detroit and I could not hear from them and they didn't hear from me, and then I met my husband and I got married and I didn't hear from them for 3 years or so. Dad was born already and I carried on terrible. I missed home. I didn't want to stay here, but then I met my husband and I can't go. I was already 21 years old. Then I have to live, and that's all.
How did you?
It was a terrible time for me. I went through so much that nobody could really know about. That I was so lonesome for home. I used to cry day and night. But I was very sorry for my parents.
Because they didn't know.
At that time, they didn't know where I am, and I didn't know where they are. And they went through a war,
Mm-hmm.
and they were thrown out of our big home. The
They,
Bolsheviks came and took away everything from my parents. Their home, and they had a big shop, a big shop. They are the only ones that were there like that.
the only brick building in
And
town?
they took everything away, and they gave my father just one little room.
In another house? Or in,
They gave him they took away the big house. They call it a zal. Our living room was as big as the whole apartment. And we didn't know each other. And then when after the war, then I went to New York, I tried to put him in the papers. Didn't hear from them. And then through some landslide, landslide, the people that had came and that got in touch with their families, then they find out that my parents are living
Mhm.
with my sisters and brother. I had 3 sisters, 4 sisters, 3. There was 4 girls and 2 boys. But that time already my younger brother died, 21 years old.
did he get sick?
I had a twin, a brother and a sister. And then my sister died and I didn't know. It was terrible. I always am alone.
Yeah.
That's what I want to bring up. All my life I struggled to myself.
Away from your
Yeah.
family and
Yeah, away from the family for no reason.
no. How did you go decide to go to Detroit? How did you choose Detroit?
After I came to Detroit,
Yes.
my my grandmother had a family here, a sister. And I knew about them, but I didn't know them. And then a cousin of mine from New York,
It's okay.
2 boys,
Yeah. And your cousin?
from New York, he felt as children. My uncle went to America. She came from the same time that my mother was born forward. When my nan came with, if you could then tell us, that cousin from New York,
Uh-huh.
with her mother to live for a while till my uncle settled down here, and I'll make it short. I came to New York. My mother had a cousin that had a big factory, 500 machines. Then my nan took me to meet the cousin when I should get a job.
What was
Sewing, operating an operating machine.
a s-
White collars and coats and like that.
what was his name? What was your cousin's
Wait
name?
a second. I knew Nanas, Nanas was my name. I forgot the second name. Anyhow, I didn't know them. Then my nan took me to see my cousin Miller, my mother's cousin. On Sia, he wheelchair. He knew my mother because they come from the same town. And I started to work there. And I was the only Jewish girl, most was all the training girls, so I couldn't talk, they couldn't talk to me. Anyhow, but I was a dressmaker. Then when I told them I'm a dressmaker, they say, don't work here. You'll do better dressmaking, they pay more. The pay was $7 a week. That was big pay. Then they talked into me, oh, you could make your own clothes. I'm looking at the time and you could make your own clothes, and so you better go and be a dressmaker. Then I quit, I went. I could not find a dressmaking job. It was a very hard time that time when I came in 1914. There was a lot of people out to work. Then I looked and looked for a job, and then my name said, you know what, I'll take you back to so-and-so. But got that name. And wait a second, that's on my tongue, I have to remember the name. And maybe he'll take you back to work. Yeah, and all the girls were so jealous of me because the boss comes up to talk to me. And he raised me 50 cents a week. Instead of 7, I got $7.50. That's a big money. And he wouldn't take me.
Wouldn't take
He
you
was so mad at me.
because you
He
quit.
said, go look for a dressmaking job. You had a good job, a good machine I gave you. When you quit, then I'm without the job again. Finally I got the dressmaking job. And uptown, 116th Street, I remember even this street. You learn very fast when you're young. I think now, how did I know how to go to work from uptown to go downtown, changing trains, elevator.
Take the elevated train?
Yeah, they were. And once I only got lost, I missed my stop. I had to stop at 106th Street and I fell. Oh, my names were all green. They didn't know. Then they only gave me a nickel car fare, fare to go there and back. I didn't have any money with me. Then there's always seat, when there's a greenie, they call it the greenie. And they said, no, don't worry. But you go to the next stop at the elevator stop. Or stay on that side. And then an elevator will come, go back on that train. Or you tell them that where you live, they won't stop at 106th Street. Lexington Avenue, I remember this street. On that way, my name was already with the children by the elevator station. She knew that I got lost and not home in time. And she was a nervous wreck. What will I do? How do I get home? But they're always nice people, they help. And I got home. And then I got a job as a dressmaker. From then on, I worked till I came to Detroit. They didn't want me to leave. They didn't have any children, they didn't want to adopt me. I wanted to stay with them. Because I had a killer son, a brother, when I came here. I knew him from Europe. He didn't stay long in our state because they went to America. I wouldn't even think about it. We were kids. He fell in love with me and he wanted me to marry him. And that's where I came to Detroit. Because they came out, they give 4 takes in and gives $5 a day. Then from all over they came here. Then I came here and I think I didn't marry him, I didn't want to marry him, I didn't like his family, even my own family. I hated his father.
So you...
Anyway, this is the way I came to America.
How did you meet your husband?
I came to Detroit. And he lived in Windsor. He won. And the funniest thing, what things could happen, when I came to New York,
Mm-hmm.
he lived in the same street that I did.
Did you know him there?
I didn't know it. Yeah, I was even not interested in any boys or anything. So
Uh-huh.
I'm going back home. So my
Sure.
mind is to go home. Then he lived on the same street. After I came here, they lived in Windsor.
Uh-huh.
If you go to Don Morris,
Yeah.
that's his brother. He lived in Windsor. But my husband lived in Windsor. Benny lived in Windsor. They came to Canada after they two married.
Mm-hmm.
Then from Canada, they came to America, to Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
This is the way it was connected.
Okay.
And then I met him. I had I'll answer the call, a couple that lived next door with Mona Uncle Morris. Anyhow, through them, she introduced me to it. And I really didn't want to get married here. I wanted to go back home. By that time, I was already 20 years old, and
Uh-huh.
I can't get home. And this is the way they...
So you went out together for a while?
Yeah, we was, got a ring, and I got my ring. We went together 6 months, I think. And then the war broke out here, and he is drafted to go to the Then it's again a problem. Should we get married or break up? I just was crying day and night, what to do. I had an aunt from the Shapiras. She came over once and said, don't get married. What are you going to do when he'll come a cripple? He'll come without a foot, he'll come without a hand. When I had to decide everything, my husband didn't force me. Any way I want, if I want to get married, he would be very happy. But if I don't feel like it, let's wait till he'll come back. Then I felt so sorry for him. And I went to New York to my cousin's wedding. And then some boys at the wedding, and then I knew one before I came to Detroit. Then he wanted I should give back the ring, he'll buy me a bigger ring, and I should come to New York. I didn't want to do that. I said, well, it's his fault. He's drafted, he can help it. Why should I do it? But I'll have to be together. That's all. And this is what happened. Then we got a little wedding. No, just a few in the house. He had a sister at her sister's house, and then he just had a hoopah, you know what a hoopah is?
Yeah.
That's all. We didn't have any. And he
Was-
went to the
Was there a rabbi? Was, was there a rabbi in
again alone.
again alone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then he stayed there 6 months. He was in the
Where did he go in the army?
Battle Creek. He
But-
was talkative that they didn't send him
So,
some. It was that called out, and he was had to sign up where they're going, and they wanted to send him way out someplace. Then they announced if anybody will give a real reason that they have to stay in the state, in the here in Michigan, then my husband put out his hand right away and told him that we just got married and I haven't got anybody here. And that made us, that stayed in Battle Creek.
did you visit him there?
5 of them that stayed in Battle Creek.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it was here. Then I used to go to see him there and stay a week or two. Then he used to come in. The captain was very good to him. They were was a very likable person, really. Then the captain was very good to him. Then any time he got a pass, they gave it to him. And he came in like for a day or so. And when the war stopped, I was in Battle Creek. the captain told him, I was just going in for a couple of days, but the captain said to him, don't send your wife home. Wait, something is coming up on the war stuff. Oh, what was going on? I stayed there at rooming houses.
Uh-huh.
I think about it.
It's okay.
Okay?
You think so?
Oh, yeah, I could ride a bit.
So you were in Kalamazoo when the war ended.
Huh?
You were in Kalamazoo,
In Middle Creek.
Battle Creek, sorry, when the war ended.
Yeah. And then he used to come. He had he was a tailor too, and he had a company tailor that he did good money for the company, but he got good money. Every day I got a letter with a $20 bill.
He did extra work.
Mhm.
He did extra work.
Extra, yeah. For the company tailor, you know, that have to fit that
Uniform.
army suits and so. Then there were two of them.
Uh-huh.
Then sometimes if he could get a pass, then he used to come in for a day to buy his trimmings or so. They will have a chance to go for a day. You know, we were married 6 months. Not even 6 months, no. We got married, can't remember, in March. And he was drafted in Spain.
Hmm. And then after the war, you came back to Detroit?
Mm.
After the war ended? When the war ended,
Yeah.
you went to Detroit?
Oh, we went to the parade, what was going on that day. I just stayed in a room there, in a room house. Yeah, well,